All right, well, here is our lake boat. This is a Randall Craft 14-foot, 25 horsepower Johnson. Have not used the motor in a couple of years because the kill switch broke on it. A new one's $150. So I've got one on order. This was our lake boat when we lived in Tallahassee. The lake we lived on was trolling motor only, so didn't really need the motor. Once the kill switch died, I quit taking it to the bigger lakes around there. But what I'm getting ready to do is I need a boat for skinny water up here on the north end of the bay and the bayous. But this is not a boat that you should ever take out in heavy chop. Skinny water only, very little draft on the back end. It's as deep of a boat as most of your saltwater poling skiffs, but those also are boats that you should not be taking out in heavy chop. So what we're going to do now is we're going to get it cleaned up, and the battery's hot. I'm going to turn the motor over. I can turn the flywheel with my hand, so I know the motor's not seized, and the motor ran fine when the kill switch died, so we ran all the gas out of it, so it should be good. May have to clean the carburetors. I do intend to change the gear lube on the lower unit, but that was rebuilt right before we quit using it, so it's all should be ready to go. It's got to be cleaned up. It's been sitting in this building for 2 years. It sat in the building at our other house for a year, so we're going to see what it does. Now, the Randall Craft is a local boat. It's been around since the 80s, and it was the spin-off of another boat. It's very similar, almost, I mean, basically it was the same guys building them. So they're really ideally river boats, lake boats. You can kind of see where there was a water line last time I had it out. Didn't wash it off good. Like I said, they don't draft very much at all. The downside to them is very, very small amount of floor space. When I got this boat, it was my uncle's boat. This boat has been all over Mobile Bay. He ran this boat in saltwater a lot. And the floor underneath is not full of foam because there's a drain at the front that lets all the water go to the back. I'm going to put a bilge pump in it back here. They're not self-bailing boats. They're just small boats made for small water. Now, I have no intention of taking this thing under the 3-mile bridge where the big boats are running, because you'll get waked. I got waked over on a lake in Tallahassee fishing with the kids when some idiots in a ski boat just kept buzzing within about 20 yards of us. Huge wakes. I caught maybe 2 over the stern. There's an elderly gentleman in a ginu that they basically washed him up on shore. But you're going to have idiots everywhere you go. So you have to know the limitations of your boat. And this boat, if you fill it full of water, is going down. Even if the entire floor is full of foam, there's just not enough floor space to put enough foam in it to hold the weight of this boat full of water. And a lot of people talk about unsinkable boats. There are a few, but they're not single hulls like this. This is built like a Carolina skiff, an old Carolina skiff single hull. If you fill a boat like that full of water, it's going down. I've seen Key West boats say that you couldn't sink those. Boston whalers said the same thing. There's a lot of Key West boats that during the hurricane, the only thing you could find was the bow. So just understand, if you're out in big water in any boat and it fills up with water, that's going to be a problem. Don't assume that you're going to be able to get it back, because, I mean, when your electrical gets wet, that's it. You're done. You're not going anywhere. You're just sitting there waiting to sink. Now, I do have a set of, actually a couple of sets of earmuffs. But one thing I learned about this little motor is it seems to just do a lot better if you use a barrel of water. I don't know why. That shouldn't be the case, but it is. Of course, my hose doesn't want to stay in there, but who cares what it wants. So after my uncle passed away, this boat sat for a few years. And when I got it, the floor was completely rotten. Everything, actually everything behind this seat, this bench, everything in front was good. I cut that, took all this floor out, Had one stringer down the middle, so I added more. Good 3/4 inch marine plywood, and glassed that in, fixed all the spots in the boat, glassed more in the bottom of the boat before I put the floor in. And the boat's a great little boat right now. You can take it pretty much any calm water, run it all around, trolling motor. It doesn't take a lot to pull this boat. It's not a big boat, 14 feet. And the main thing is now that some of the original gel coat paint is finally peeling, I'm going to be able to strip this boat completely down, give it a couple of good coats of primer, and then paint it. So that's what we're going to work on. But right now, let's fire it up and see if it's going to run. All right, let's give this thing a try. I got a feeling may have a few issues, but we're going to go with it anyway. Yep, sounds like the starter may be as big a piece of crap as this GoPro. Well, let's get the pull start out. I'll get the pull cord out and see if I can start it that way. All right, it's the next day. In typical GoPro fashion, the GoPro stopped working. And what I did figure out, did a pull start on it and then checked, and the positive wire just wasn't that tight on the battery. So once I got that hooked back up correctly, it turned over just fine. Problem is the float is sticking in the carburetor. So I've got fuel coming out where it shouldn't. And it ran, when I pull started, it ran for about a minute and a half. And then started smelling like it was starting to flood. Noticed some fuel coming out. So, it choked out and shut off. So, kind of expected that, having set up for a few years. So I'm going to pull the carburetor. Got a carburetor kit coming to replace, all the seals in it. So I'll get that done this coming week, and we'll fire it back up and see how it does. In the meantime, we'll start getting this stuff together to repaint the entire boat. Probably not the inside. The paint's fine in there. I'll just pressure wash that. But getting this thing ready for saltwater. Obviously, this is not a motor that should be, it's probably not originally made for saltwater. But like I said, this thing's been all over Mobile Bay. And that was for years. I mean, Uncle Doug ran it in the bay for a long time. I've ridden in it in the bay, and he had no fear. He'd go anywhere in this boat. So it will do it. Have to use a little bit of common sense when you're getting out there around bigger boats or heavy chop. So I'm going to get to work on that this coming week. I've got a new kill switch coming for it. The old one was bad, and I'll get that stuff done. Then I'll worry about getting the motor off and getting the boat painted. So I'll do another video as we go along. Till next time, thanks for watching.